In the creative and corporate world, we put our heart and soul out there with fresh ideas for all the world to see, often just to have them shot down by whims and profit margins. Consider this video your creative reset button. You'll also see in a minute why I'm talking to you from out here in my barn. But let's start by considering your story. We all know that every good story has at least one of 4 types of conflict. Struggle against a villain, struggle against society, struggle against nature, and struggle with self. I might add conflict with aliens and giant robots to the list, but I'm a sci-fi fan, so I'm probably biased. In any case, facing your conflicts can bring positive change to your creativity. Take conflict with a supervillain or society. Look, we don't have to look any further than the workplace for these. There's nothing like a peer outperforming you or the hard-headedness of a board to get your blood boiling. But try looking at those challenges from a different angle. Those situations might be motivating you to learn a new piece of software, develop a new skill, or take stock of where you excel. What about nature? For me, standing on a frozen lake in the Arctic Circle filming the Inupiaq fishing gave me new perspective. It hit me that scene, the sheer vastness of that place, could never truly be conveyed through television or film. It made me realize no matter how good the camera shot or detailed the animation we create, we can still only paint a tiny canvas on a huge wall. That understanding enables me to feel less pressure and be more creative. I can relate too with the battle of self. There's nothing like waking up in the hospital to realize you were found unconscious in the middle of the road from a motorcycle accident, then have a few months to recover and ponder how it's your own fault. But you know, that experience changed me for the better. In case you don't know, once you've nearly died a couple times, you start to understand how some things just aren't important, and other things are. With my business, it made me care less about impressing others and try more to use my strengths. I started networking with new people. It forced me to catch up financially and start trying different marketing techniques. But for now, this villain's still sitting out here in my barn. How has facing your villains and challenges made you better and stronger? I like what best-selling author Elizabeth Gilbert says about inspiration. She believes creativity isn't necessarily something we have, but something that happens through us.
But ancient Greece and ancient Rome, people did not happen to believe that creativity came from human beings back then, okay? People believed that creativity was this divine attendant spirit that came to human beings from some distant and unknowable source. The Romans had the same idea, but they called that sort of disembodied creative spirit a genius. Which is great, because the Romans did not actually think that a genius was a particularly clever individual. They believed that a genius was this sort of magical divine entity who was believed to literally live in the walls of an artist's studio, kind of like Dobby, the house elf. And everyone knew that this is how it functioned, right? So the ancient artist was protected from certain things like, for example, too much narcissism, right? If your work was brilliant, couldn't take all the credit for it. Everybody knew you had this like disembodied genius who had helped you. If your work bombed, not entirely your fault, you know? Everyone knew your genius was kind of lame. And
she also points out that it might be a little grandiose, if not burdensome, to believe you need to be a creative genius. Check out her TED Talk presentation. For those of you who are creative geniuses, remember what Thomas Edison said after failing thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Then consider his work has been surpassed by both the fluorescent and LED bulbs. There's always room for innovation. Now, go get 'em.